from Excel Up, your Microsoft Excel trainer and friend. So guys, I hope the last video was clear where I've taught you how to use functions and formulas into different given conditions, and we have also executed certain functions like sum, max, mean, large, small, and we have seen how we can deal with functions and how we can make our calculation part in Excel in a more easier manner. And also we have found certain function which can give us certain result based on the condition what we are looking for. Also we have learned rank function, we have also learned average function, so we have also learned round function. So we have covered almost the major basics function which has to be learned to progress in Excel, where this function will later on come into different formulas which will be you will be understanding, will be able to use in this function to different formulas. And the sooner you use this formula to different function, you can solve a very big problem in Excel. So guys, when we have learned these different functions, we have seen that when we are using certain functions, we have taken a reference of the cell or of the value which we require for the calculation purpose. So today we are going to learn what is that reference, what we mean by reference. So today our topic is cell reference. So to learn cell reference, we have to know what is cell reference first. So cell reference is nothing but it is it refers to a cell or a range of cells on a worksheet which can be used in a formula so that Excel can find the values or data you want that formula to calculate. So we select specific cell so that whatever that value we want from Excel for the calculation purpose, we can refer the cell and accordingly we can get our result. So to understand, we have to know the types of cell reference. So there are four types of cell reference. There are four types of cell reference. So first is relative cell reference. Next is absolute or fixed cell reference. Next, third is mixed cell reference, and fourth is circular cell reference. So adding to this four types of cell reference, we have another fifth cell reference, which we don't mention in Excel because that is not at all in a mentionable topic. But still, as we are learning cell reference, we have to know each type of cell reference from the beginning. So the fifth cell reference is 3D cell reference. 3D cell reference. So we have learned there are five types of cell reference. So each type of cell reference we are going to learn, and I will be learning how we can execute this each type of cell reference. So I hope guys you have understood the definition of cell reference, why we use cell reference, and we'll learn if we don't use cell reference, what is the difficulty we may face in Excel while doing certain calculation. So guys, hope you like the video, and please don't forget to subscribe and please hit the bell icon so that you get a update and a notification whenever I post videos on Excel topic. So let's start. So as you can see, I have a database here. So I have I'll be covering in today's session. We'll be covering only relative and absolute cell reference, because cell reference is a very easy thing to understand, but sometimes it confuses us. So to not to confuse you guys, I have divided this into two sessions. So in the first session, I'll be covering relative cell reference and absolute cell reference. In the next session, I'll be covering mixed cell reference, circular cell reference, and 3D cell reference. Because absolute and mixed cell reference is a bit of tricky part. If you understand absolute and mixed cell reference in the same session, you may get confused. So keep we to make you not to confuse, we have divided the session into two parts. So let us understand what is cell reference first. So cell reference is nothing but the combination of row and column which we refer to a particular cell, which I have explained you in the first lesson. So if I have to see what is a cell reference, so cell reference is formed like if you want to refer cell A. Suppose taking an example, in this cell I've written A. So in this cell, let me put border. So in this cell, I want to take this cell value to this particular cell. So what we can do, we can write equals to and you can select this cell because we want to take this reference and we want to execute the value in this particular cell. So once I selected A, C. Once I selected A, it's showing as H3. You can select, or else you can also write it by your hand. So we have to select H3. So once you write H3, it will select automatically this particular cell, and I'll press enter. Once I press enter, see the value which we require from this particular cell, we have taken the reference and we have got the result. So suppose if you're changing any value in this particular cell, as we have taken this as a reference, it will also get automatically changed. Suppose I'm writing B here, it will change to B. If you're writing G here, it will automatically change to G. If you're writing V here, it will automatically change to V. If you're writing C here, it will automatically change to C. So this is we mean by cell reference. So let us start with relative cell reference. So what is relative cell reference? By the word relative, we can understand that we are relating to a particular cell to get us result out of it. So before using relative cell reference, let us learn if we don't use cell reference, what difficulty we may face while doing calculation in Excel. So suppose I have to calculate this particular, I have to get the total monthly sales of January, February and March. So I'll write equals to, we can do normal calculation, we can use sum also for this, but as we are writing cell, as we are learning cell reference, so we'll stick to cell reference only. We will not use any formulas or function because it may confuses us. So I have to calculate January, February and March. So to calculate January, February and March, we have to add those three different columns. So I'll not use cell reference first. So let us write the value first and get the result. So I'll write 5600 plus 4500, then 6540. I'll press enter. So I got the result, correct? So here I have not used cell reference. Here I have directly written the values. Now what is the difficulty? In Excel, as we have not mentioned the cell reference, we cannot use the benefit of drag button. So if I drag this, it will repeat the same because the numbers which I have written is fixed. So it will not get changed automatically because we have not used cell reference. So this is the main reason why we use cell reference, in order to make our work more faster and make our work more productive and to get the result in a more easier manner. So we have learned that why we should use cell reference. So I'll select equals to. So we have to take which cell. So first let us write. So we have to take cell B5. So I'll write B5 here. So automatically it has selected. Then plus. Then I have to take February. So February is C5. Then plus. Then I have to take D5. So I've taken the three different cell reference. I'll press enter. I got the result. Now the advantage of using cell reference is when I drag this particular button down towards down, automatically as we have selected cell reference, this particular cell reference what we have taken, it gets dragged down. So when I'm dragging this to this, if I double click, you can see this cell reference from here it has moved to here. And as we are using cell reference, the values which was here got changed to here. And accordingly, the value which we required in this particular cell to get the result, we have got that using cell reference. So this is the advantage of cell reference. And this is called relative cell reference because we are relating to a particular number or a value. So I'll drag this and I'll get that particular result in one shot. So I don't have to repeat the formula again and again in each row or in each column. I can write the formula in a particular cell and I can drag it. Accordingly, I've used cell reference, I'll get the result automatically. I hope guys, relative cell reference is clear for you. So now let us move to the second part of the cell reference. The second part of the cell reference is absolute or fixed cell reference. So by the word fix, we can understand we'll be fixing or we'll putting certain condition where that cell will not be moving from its position. So let us see how is it and why we should use absolute cell reference. So I have a data here where I have a data called product, quantity, rate, I have GST, I have total. So here I have to find first GST. GST would be on quantity into rate into 5% and total would be quantity into rate plus 5%, the amount which will be coming. So first we have to find the data here. So let us understand, without using absolute or fixed cell reference, what can happen if you don't use absolute or fixed cell reference. So I'll write the formula here. So equals to, I have to select this cell plus multiplied into this cell. So quantity into rate. So quantity into rate into, it should be GST 5%. So 5% I have in, have, I have the value here. So I'll select here. So GST is quantity into rate into GST percentage. So I'll select and I'll press enter. So as you see, I have got the result 270. So accordingly, I'll not be writing the formula again in the next cell. So what I have to do? I have to drag. So once I drag, you'll get an error. So as you can see, we have got an error. Now, what is this error? This error is value. Now, why this error is value? Because as we have learned in relative cell reference, or we have learned in the first data, when we are dragging the data or we are dragging the drop down arrow, the cell reference also gets dragged. So the first in the first cell, we have seen the cell reference, we have selected this. When we drag to the second cell, the cell reference is dragged to the second row of the data. So accordingly, the value got changed and then we got a desired result. So same thing happened here. In the first scenario, it was correct because we have selected 5%. But in the second scenario, the cell reference, these two are correct because this position has to be changed and it has to come to the second row. Same for the rate, because we need these two numbers as a calculation for the second row of the database. But for the GST part, it has to be fixed because GST will not change. GST has to be fixed because GST 5% is upon this quantity in rate. So what happened? D15, D14, it came to D15, and in D15 there is a text. So as we have learned in the first session that anything multiplied or anything calculated with text, it will give you error value. So that's the reason Excel couldn't find what value was there, because as it was text, so he has given an error value. So to avoid this, now why we have got the value here? Because here the GST amount has been, there is no 5%, the amount has been calculated on 270. So that's the reason the value has came so bigger. So what we have to do here, we have to go and we have to freeze this particular cell. We have to freeze D14. If we freeze this particular cell, then the cell reference will not move down. It will be intact to its original position. And this other two cell has to be relative. It cannot, it should not be fixed, because these two we want it to move down because the value should get changed in order to get the correct value for the next particular cell. So how to fix cell reference? So the shortcut key to fix cell reference is F4. So we have to press F4 one time. Once you press F4 one time, it will come as dollar. So dollar is the symbol which means the particular column and the particular row is fixed. So dollar is before this D, that means column is fixed. Dollar is before this 14, that means row is fixed. So as we have made it freezed, now I'll press enter. So now if you drag, see, the result will be correct. So why it's correct? Because double click, this particular two cell has been, the value has been changed, the reference has been changed, but this reference is fixed because this has not to be changed. So that's the reason the reference has been fixed and we have got the correct result. So accordingly, we'll calculate total also. So in total, what it will be equals to this into this into, so you have to put a bracket, this into this into plus this. So enter. This is the result. So automatically we also use relative cell reference here. We have taken the three cell reference and we have got the result. So this is, guys, relative cell reference and your absolute cell reference. So I hope your the concept is clear. You have understood what is relative cell reference and what is fixed cell reference, and we have also understood when we should use relative cell reference and when we should use absolute or fixed cell reference. So this session would be till this, guys. So practice, understand this absolute, be master on absolute and relative cell reference so that you don't get confused when you're moving to mixed cell reference. So that's the reason will be able to understand mixed cell reference in a better way, because once fixed cell reference is clear in our head why we have fixed that particular cell, it will be easier for us to understand mixed cell reference. So I hope guys you have understood the session. Hit the like button, and till then, bye bye.